Alright, welcome back, Scallywags. Ladies and germs, it's your old pal CHH. It's time for an episode 2 of Lost Titles from my horror collection. I like this idea. I hope you guys do. We'll see. You know, we did the first episode. I'm sure there's a little curiosity, right, for the first episode. A little cricket there. I'm sure there's a little curiosity on the first episode, but now it's going to be nut-cutting time. See if you guys are into this sort of thing. What is Lost Titles from our collection? You know, basically what I'm doing is I'm going through... This is not the same thing as horror Blu-rays I want you to own. This is titles that I may like. If I really recommend it to you, I will. In this case, a lot of these, or some of these, I may say, check it out streaming first if you have one, if it's available on one of these platforms for you. But what this basically is me going through my collection and finding titles that I bought, maybe watched, and they just got lost in the shuffle of not being talked about. So I wanted to do a video where I actually talk about some of these titles. The first one is an interesting one. It's got a big name actor in it, 2 big name actors in it, and I like this movie. It's definitely quirky and weird, but maybe somebody's seen it. What movie am I talking about? Victor Frankenstein. This has Daniel Radcliffe and James McAvoy in it. I love this movie. It's very, very different. It's a take on, obviously, the Frankenstein story. And they do some really weird creation stuff in this movie. So how did I hear about Victor Frankenstein? Well, I was on YouTube one day. This was like a year or so ago. And I was watching James Rolfe's Cinemassacre's Monster Madness. And I picked one year. I was just kind of watching a bunch of them just to kill some time. And I watched one that went over Frankenstein movies and you know, mummy movies, and this got brought up, and I was like, I hadn't even heard of that. And I remember looking at the artwork for it and I was like, this is the artwork? I hate this era of artwork where it's just literally the actors' faces on them. But I ended up checking it out, and it was really good. I mean, I really, really liked it. There's some really creepy, weird creation stuff that these guys make, and then the Frankenstein monsters, like, it's a little over the top in terms of the designs and things like that, but that's the point. It's an interesting movie. I really liked it. I really, really liked it. Definitely recommend. My wife loved it. I definitely recommend streaming it. I'm sure this is available, and if you're a fan of it, get it. I want this movie to get some kind of collector's treatment with like a steelbook or some kind of 4K. I'm a big fan of it. I'd never heard of it. I don't remember when it came out, but I like it a lot. So Victor Frankenstein definitely gets the rub from good old CHH. I like it a lot. What are we going to go to next? There better be creepy music playing in the background. That's the point of these. Got to make it creepy because they're lost, right? Next up is a movie that has Scout Taylor Compton in it. Now, obviously, we know her from Halloween, the Rob Zombie Halloween films. She did this movie, and I didn't have the highest of hopes. I was just like, you know what, I'll get it. I like her. She's really pretty. She's easy on the eye. She's really likable. I like her as a person a lot from her podcast she did with, or she does with Daniel Harris. I was like, you know what? Okay, so this movie's kind of like about cult stuff. Is that what it's supposed to be? I got the sense of that from the trailer. And I got this movie, The Long Night. This was put out by Welgo USA, of all companies. Welgo is kind of famous for Phantasm. I cannot do videos and have my phone up here. It goes off way too much and I just see it flashing. I'm sorry, I tried to edit these because I wanted to be authentic, but I had to just literally just throw my phone away from the desk. It's basically Danielle Harris and her husband going and staying at this house in the countryside, and they're not alone. You know, it's kind of like Strangers, that sort of thing, but with the element of, you know, a demonic cult in the mix of things. I really liked it. Thought it was a good movie. Thought it was a really good movie. It's one of those movies that's like, you know, we don't need a sequel. We don't need further explanation into some of the stuff that happened in this movie. We're just going to leave it at that, you know? So I like those kinds of movies. Like, not everything needs a sequel. Not everything needs complete explanation. That sort of thing. I liked it. Next up, guys, is a DVD. I've kind of mentioned this in the past, but I've never really talked about physical media releases or things like that. This doesn't have an American Blu-ray as far as I know. I have a German Blu-ray. Shout out to my buddy Kyle. That is Cabin Fever 2. Cabin Fever 2 is the Ty West movie. If you look at the back, it'll say directed by Ty West, but I'm pretty sure he came in to finish directing it. I don't remember the story exactly about what happened, but Ty West's Cabin Fever 2 is incredible. Cabin Fever 2 is effing incredible. I love it so much. I like it as much as Cabin Fever. This one's even whacked out, more whacked out. This is from 2009. Good movie. You know, I really like Ty West's movies. He's got some good stuff. He might show up again in this video. Put it to you like that. You know? But yeah, Cabin Fever 2, man. I got this DVD. As you can see, the horror sign. I picked it up from my local video store that I did a video on just a while back. And it's got the national video on the disc. Don't know if this is hard to get or out of print. I'm hoping it's not. I'm assuming it's not. If it is, I apologize. But I like it. Oh, look, he's actually... I shuffled these, so that's just by fate. The next movie. So the interesting thing about this movie is I would see this deep Blu-ray at the FYE all the time. And it wasn't until I did research on this director, Ty West, that I was like, crap, that's him? Because it's not the greatest artwork. It's not the greatest name for a movie, Inke Keepers. I really like this movie, and I almost didn't want to like this movie. Okay? Let me explain what I mean by that. Tonally, this movie's schizophrenic. But I think that's the point, right? Clearly, I think that was the point. But it was jarring to me at first because this movie would be really scary, then it's almost really humorous, but then it gets right back to being really scary. And not in the way a good horror comedy is. It's almost blatantly... it's like blatant. The polarization of it from moments in the movie. But I think that was the point for the Inke Keepers. Now, it's a good movie. It's just, it took, now that I know about it, now that I've seen it and I understand, I think I understand what it is, I like it a lot. But it's always interesting seeing people's reaction to the Inke Keepers. Because this is kind of a movie that I'll see a little bit more negative of from Ty West than other stuff. You know? So, I don't know how everybody feels about this one. I've never really talked much about the Inke Keepers, but it's one that I also probably need to revisit again. When did this come out? 2011? Yeah. Dark Sky Films. Interesting. Yeah, the Inke Keepers, guys. Check that one out. Please check that one out, because I'm interested to see how people feel about that one. I really am. Next up, ladies and germs, we're talking about The Great. So I want to talk about this one because this one doesn't get talked about. I never reviewed this movie. I probably should have. I don't know why I didn't. Hatchet 4. Victor Crowley. So, I like this one a lot more than 3. I think the best one is 2. And I remember when I saw 3, I remember getting it when it came out. I bought it at Walmart on DVD. It was a big deal for me. I wasn't over the moon about it. I just did not like 3 as much as I wanted to. I wanted to get silly and goofy and do some other things. I get that. Because to me, it's funny. I don't mean to be that guy, but I feel like some people don't realize the Hatchet sequels are homages to the slasher genre, especially the 80s slasher genre, of course. But Adam's also making fun of for a lot of the lower budget stuff, like the silly acting. He's doing over-the-top stuff with his characters on purpose. So it's a little bit of a parody of the slasher genre, in a sense. Now, Victor Crowley's taken seriously and all that, but like he's making fun of the acting and the dialogue that we had back in those days, so he exaggerates and overemphasizes that sort of thing in these movies. But Victor Crowley, I really like the way he went with the guy who worked on Honey Island Swamp, surviving and writing his book, I, Survivor. I liked a lot the humor and the way they went with Victor Crowley, Hatchet 4. I hope this isn't the last one, but I feel like this one's kind of lost in the shuffle, and people don't talk about. They talk about Hatchet 1 a lot when they do talk about it. And I say they, I just mean in a general sense. Guilty, to be honest with you, but I like Victor Crowley a lot. I really do. Victor Crowley is Hatchet 4. Get it. Please get it. Next up, guys, we're going back to an abandoned, haunted asylum. Now, I almost wasn't going to talk about this one for this series, but to be honest with you, I did go back and rewatch it, and I was pretty surprised at how much I enjoyed it. Is it as good as the first one? No. But, is it good? It's actually really good. I mean, it just is. It's just really good. I just kind of ran my mouth off a little bit about it, but after revisiting it, I liked it a lot. I'm talking about Grave Encounters 2. This is the Blu-ray put out by... who put out the Blu-ray? Let's see. I don't know. Doesn't really say. Tribeca Film. New Video. Dark Light. There you go. That's what I know. I actually got it with a slipcover too. I got this at my used DVD store. Or my used game exchange, if you will. Anyway. Grave Encounters 2 I actually enjoyed. On a revisit. I rewatched it because I was like, you know, I've never really talked about 2 besides saying, you know, there's a sequel, but it's not as good. But I haven't dove into much else. So, watching this one again, it's really funny because you'll see a bunch of YouTubers in the beginning. I think Cool Duders in here, and they're talking about Grave Encounters, the first movie. And then the movie's basically this group that want to go and see this place and see if it's real. And they want to go see if this place is real, you know. So they visit this place, and it's a rehash of the first movie, but it's still good. It's just not as good as the first one. But I've been way too critical on it when I do mention this. It's still really good. I still really like it. So Grave Encounters 2 should be easy to pick up still. I do recommend buying this one and getting it. I do. There's actually some moments that rival the freakiness of the first one here. You know. So Grave Encounters 2, I'm going to give the devil his due. Gotta give the devil his due. Now this one I did a YouTube short on. But that's not good enough. I hope you guys are enjoying the shorts. Be sure to ding the bell. Unfriended Dark Web. This may be one of my favorite movies on today's Lost Titles video. I mean, I'm serious. I'm not even kidding. I like this movie quite a lot. You know, with me, I like found footage. That's a given. You guys know that I'm really a big found footage fan. There's no denying that. So when Unfriended came out, I was like, this is a pretty cool movie. I like the concept. I'm all into the innovating the found footage genre. And I think the internet and doing the Skype rooms and stuff like that is innovation. As a matter of fact, I've toyed with the idea of making a found footage horror film myself that I would direct and write using StreamYard, using Skype and Zoom. I've thought about that. I've got to come up. I have a loose concept. But because Host really inspired me. So I've thought about doing that. Maybe. It's a work in progress. So I saw Unfriended. I thought it was a good movie. So when they announced a sequel, I was like, oh, they're going to make a sequel to that? How are they going to do it? Then I saw it's going to be its own thing. And then it was called Unfriended Dark Web. I was really excited. Because like I'm fascinated by the idea of the dark web and being able to, you know, do all kinds of crazy stuff with the dark web, like buying people and stuff. Like you hear about all this stuff. You don't know if it's true or not, but you hear about it. So I'm fascinated by that kind of stuff. So the dark web goes in its own direction. It's its own movie. And I really liked it. It's great when these movies can be, like, for this to be suspenseful. It's just like, really? Think about that. It's a found footage movie through FaceTime, Skype, Zoom. But they pulled it off. So I really liked it. I really, really like Dark Web. I like it more than the first, quite frankly. Give that a shot. Please give that a shot. Next up, guys. Oh, man. I love this movie. This was I thought this was Scream Factory. I guess it's not. Now, the sequel I cannot in good conscience recommend. But this first movie, to me, is just awesome. I'm talking about The Houses October Built. This is a DVD. This may be available on Blu-ray. I'm not sure. But The Houses October Built is all that and a bag of chips. It's a found footage film. And I did a YouTube short on this as well, but again, it's not good enough. I need to talk about this. I don't know if I've ever shown off my Blu-ray of this. I could have in the past, but it would have been at least 4 or 5 years ago. I can't remember. But The Houses October Built is about this group that are haunted house enthusiasts, and they hear about this haunted house that's supposed to be real insane, but lo and behold, it's real. And these people straight up abduct them in the middle of the road at night, and they think they're part of a show, but really they're in for it. It's really good. I really like that artwork too. Houses October Built, this DVD. I like that the DVD was in a clear case. Hey, you know what? I got this at Big Lots, guys. So you should probably, if you're in the States, I don't know if Canada has this or anything. If you go to Big Lots, they sell physical media cheap. I got mine there. You may be able to find this there. So go to Big Lots and look for this. The Houses October Built. Just a good movie, guys. I really enjoy it. I mean, look at that. Sorry, look at that. You know you want to see that. So, yeah, check that out, guys. The Houses October Built. I really recommend that one. Next up, I don't know how I didn't talk about this. I didn't put this in my RLJE Shudder Blu-ray collection. Technically, this should have been in there. And this movie's great. It scared the hell out of me. Which isn't the hardest thing to do. I've never had any issue admitting I like to get lost in movies, guys, and I think that's something. Does that mean I like to make myself vulnerable with movies? Call it whatever you want. Like when I watch a movie, especially a horror film, listen, I want to do it the right way. I want to shut the lights off. I want to get my blanket. I want to put my phone away. I want to crank the volume up. I'm also hard of hearing anyway. Been playing live music since 2005. So like I like to get lost in movies, and when a movie's really good, it'll ruin me. The Dark and the Wicked. Shit. You kidding me? The Dark and the Wicked was something else. I mean, really just something else. And it kind of took the world by storm. This came out during the pandemic. And then I saw it on Shudder. On a secluded farm, a man is bedridden and fighting through his final breaths while his wife slowly succumbs to overwhelming grief. Siblings Luis and Michael return home to help, but it doesn't take long for them to see that something's wrong with Mom, something more than her heavy sorrow. Gradually, they begin to suffer a darkness similar to their mother's, marked by waking nightmares and a growing sense that an evil entity is taking over their family. Yeah, it's just a great movie. This deserves a new kind of collector's release. Maybe Second Sight can do something for this. This movie was just that good. I feel like if you ask people, hey, and they've seen both movies, what's scarier / better, The Dark and the Wicked or Hereditary? I think 4 out of 10 would say The Dark and the Wicked. I think 4 out of 10 would say that. And it could change more as the years go by, quite frankly, because, I mean, there are things in The Dark and the Wicked that will stick with you. You know, and it's an effective movie for sure. I mean, it really is. Last but not least, guys, there's something specific I want to talk about with this one. This is a 3 Blu-ray film collection for Open Water. Open Water 1, 2, and 3. Open Water 1, I think, is a boring-ass movie. Not a big fan of it. Open Water 2, for some reason, I just find it incredible. I mean, I really just find it incredible. Open Water 2, it's this group that go out on this party barge, kind of big boat, and they're all having a good time. They ride out to sea, and they jump out of the boat to swim, and they're far out in the ocean now. And all of them are having fun, and all of a sudden they want to get back on the boat, but they forgot to drop the ladder down. They can't get back up in the boat. The boat's way too high. It was a nail biter. and they got to figure out how to survive, what they're going to do, that sort of thing. And it's good. Open Water 3 Cage Dive, can't comment on it. I don't even know if I've seen it. I got this when I saw it because I wanted Open Water 2. And I had seen this movie pre-Katrina. Never mind. No, I saw it post-Katrina, 2006. What's interesting about this triple pack that was put out by Summit and Lionsgate is Open Water 1 and 2 are region free, but for some reason 3 is only region A. But they're all on one disc, which is really bizarre, so I have no idea how that works. But, I mean, look, I'm not making it up. You can see ABC, ABC, and then just A. So, I couldn't, I don't know. If you see this anywhere, get it for Open Water 2. I assume you could get this cheap. I'm telling you, Open Water 2 is a nail biter. It freaks me out if that could happen to me, or if that did happen to me. So, never talked about that before, but Open Water 2 is one of my favorite movies. It's a good movie. So guys, that's another episode of Lost Titles from my horror movie collection. I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoy doing these. It's another way for me to talk about my passion, which is owning movies, guys. Owning movies. Nobody can ever tell you, if you have any of those movies, nobody can ever tell you can't watch it. If you rent a movie digitally, that doesn't mean anything. You rent permission, but you don't rent ownership of the movie. You can't do anything with it. Or if you buy a movie digitally, you're paying for permission, in my opinion. You do not own anything. Nobody is coming to my house and saying, Grave Encounters 2's got some rights issues right now. We're not allowed to let people see it. We got to take your Blu-ray back. No, it's not happening. So remember that, guys. I mean, physical media is so important, and I think the number one reason people like it is for ownership. Okay, so sorry to go off on a tangent right there, but I just want to make sure people understand that. Thank you for watching this video. Give me your thoughts on any of those titles. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed this series. Make your voices heard down below. This is your old pal CHH. Take care. And yes, Gutter Garbs is where I got this shirt, if anybody asks. Huge giant thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, this would not be possible. To get behind the scenes photos, videos, music, private live streams, and much more, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thank you to my patrons.